Hello, welcome to the Wise Way to Success podcast. And I'm really excited about this episode because we are addressing a really important topic: men and mental health. We do not talk about it enough, and that's why I brought a very special guest to discuss men and mental health with me. Welcome to the show, Olivier Day. How are you?
Thank you so much for welcoming me, Robert. It's a pleasure to be here. On the wise way to success. I feel so honored. So I hope I don't humiliate you.
I'm honored to have you, and I'm really grateful to have you discuss such a, I don't know if the word taboo is the right terminology, but I think it is still a taboo subject. Men and
Uncommon.
mental health,
Hmm.
still taboo. Like the boys don't cry analogy, it's still relevant even in 2021, which is very surprising, but it's still true. So I wanted you to come on this show today because you struggled with your mental health. You also have a
Yep.
podcast where you help people. So let's dive right into this. So tell the viewers a little bit more about you.
Okay. Cliff notes. 30 seconds. Born in Ottawa, raised in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Basically, my entire background. Came to Montreal in 2001, 2002. Yeah. 2002, went to UCAM, studied communication, Concordia, did some journalism, some poli-sci, some electives, whatever. Then opened up to the School of Life, did a bunch of corporate sticks, worked in telecommunication, worked in banking, worked in healthcare, worked in security, did a bunch of stuff, lots of fun stuff. Met my girlfriend, now my wife, trials and tribulations, peaks, valleys, kids, house, picket fence, corporate shtick, depression, burnout. That wasn't fun. Had to step away from the entire career thing and basically, look inward and realize what matters and what doesn't. And eventually, just dial down. Right now on my day-to-day, I work a very pleasant 9 to 5 for a construction company on the South Shore. And right now, also on my creative aspect, I also do some photography, but mostly I run a podcast called Awaken the Awesome, which I've been running for about 4 years now, where I invite a whole wide array of very eclectic guests, all with the common notion that we all have it within us to awaken the little bit of awesome that makes us unique and express it every day to however that may be. And yeah, I guess that was a little bit over 30 seconds, but thank you.
Okay, all good. It's all good. Um, I think it is really interesting because you come from a culture. We spoke about this before.
Hmm.
A very male dominant culture in which
Yes.
men are supposed to be regarded a certain way. And you also
Yes.
mentioned that you struggled with depression and burnout.
Yes.
So let's talk about your culture, the belief of the way man should be, because I think it still applies to our North America culture. Maybe not to the
Hmm.
same level, but
Hmm.
there's similarities there too. How
Yes.
are men seen?
Um, Basically, I'll just take the basic example of how I was raised. I am the first son.
Mhm.
My father was the first son. My father was raised military. I was raised. He wasn't in the military, but he, impaired that onto me. My father was all business. My father was all about, discipline. Do it right. Do it well. Don't do it twice. He's still the smartest man I know, and I take nothing away from him. I've always said this. I've openly said this on my podcast. He had his faults, but I don't take anything away from it because in a lot of ways it has shaped me. So this is basically the gift of my manhood that I impart onto my kids because I am present. I know about discipline. I know about responsibility. I know about accountability. I know about holding true to your word. I know about presenting the best version of yourself. But I also know about male dominance in regards to you don't question me because I'm a man. You don't, look me crossways because I'm a man. I There is no place for talking about woo-woo feelings. There is no place about crying. There is no place about why should I apologize to you? I'm the man. Okay. I'm not gonna bow down to you, you know. These are things I know very well. It's culturally based, it's societal, it's there's also some anthropology in there as well. It's heavy because it's really what's called the identity of the man. And would I call it toxic masculinity? Like, hey, beers and strippers and no, it's not that, but it's also it comes from the fact that men carry this weight, this burden of expectation that has been just thrown onto them, and they walk around like it's okay. And there's a part of that that is true when we spoke about this. I have no problem with accepting my role as a man, as basic as it is. Right now we're in Montreal. We had a snowstorm yesterday. I do not expect my wife to go out into the driveway and shovel the snow. See, I'm not going to expect that of my wife. Babe, I got this. I'll be out, be back in half an hour. I'm going to go do this because that's my role. That is my role. All right. And that it has nothing to do with, being better or being worse. We have our roles, we have our responsibilities. It's a partnership. But also, sometimes it's okay. And I had to learn this through my own personal circumstances that emotionally, sometimes we carry a lot of weight because we have been bred to keep this in. We have been trained very well, okay, throughout the village of men that have raised us before us. We have been bred to not speak. We have been bred to keep it in, whether through colleagues or coworkers or, the mechanic that screwed us or the boss that gets on our nerves or the kids that are yelling too much or expectations or the bills or everything. Sometimes we just want the world to shut up, but you can't say that because you're a man and you can take it and it's okay and you're fine. You're fine. I love this acronym, feelings inside not expressed. That a lot of depressed people know this. I am fine. I know this because I've used it. I am fine. I spent 4 years saying I'm fine. I am fine. And I was not fine. And I refused to admit it. And there's your answer in regards to how it was growing up. Because sometimes you don't want to say that you're scared. You don't want to say that you want to cry because you have to keep it in, for your siblings, for your parents, for the society, because you're the boy, you're the son, you're the husband, you're the man. You need to
And
take this in.
and you're a person.
You
You're a person. And this is
think?
it's so interesting because the expectation or the judgment of you are the man and therefore you need not cry, you suck it up, you need not be scared, is so unfair to our human part of our self, which
Hmm.
is I'm a person. I'm still a person. I still get scared. I still get sad. I still have my own, you know, feelings and emotions. And we were talking about you because I know a little bit about you,
Hmm.
about when you became a father and
Hmm.
your wife was going through a lot, but
Hmm.
so were you
Yep.
going through a lot.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yet, those emotions and those feelings, because you're not the one that gave birth or you're not the one that had the baby, a lot
Exactly.
of the times it goes to, well, what are you complaining about? What's your
Exactly.
issue? There's a lot of shame that happens
Hmm.
when a man is scared or sad or hurt,
Oh yeah.
or a lot of these emotions is shame.
So true. So true because hey, because I've had this rational approach to everything and sometimes, being present for my wife throughout the entire gestation period of having both kids. You always come back, you're the man, you're just sitting there with the appointments and, the ultrasounds and stuff and she's the one being poked in places and she's the one having all these mood swings and all the biological and anatomical you know mutations that are happening throughout her body, which is very real, so yeah, automatically as a man, since you haven't been bred to understand this, like I've never had like conversations about expectations of a baby with my dad. I was like, okay, how is she doing, and okay, just make sure that you do what you have to do. And it's not a caveman scenario. He's like, okay, do your responsibility, do what you're supposed to do. But down the road, where you have to let your wife know, like, hey, I am scared for you because I have no idea what can happen. And we have these, of course, we had a few medical scares. And sometimes where the baby's born, you're like, I'm afraid you're gonna break her, or I don't know, or the baby's crying. You're trying to hold the baby doesn't want you, she wants mommy, but you know you have to be present and you have no idea what the hell you're doing. And so you're re-questioning yourself, am I doing this wrong? Does the baby not like me? And these are moments where I had to open up, and you're just like, "Oh, what is, I have no idea what I'm doing." It's like, what is going on? And all guys go through this.
Yeah.
A
And it was
lot of them
very,
keep it in.
and it's okay. And I think a
Yes.
lot of it's okay not to know. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be worried. I think what's really important and what I really hope to get across today is to take the shame out of not knowing, of being
Hmm.
scared, of being sad, of being in emotional distress. Take
Yes.
the shame out of it. There's a great example. It was actually given to me by a grief counselor, and it was about a girl was really feeling bad that she was grieving over a loss of a pet, and she went to the grief counselor and said, I feel really guilty because one of my friends lost their mother.
Hmm.
And here I lost my pet and I'm feeling guilty because I feel so sad about my pet. But she has it worse. She lost her parent. And the grief counselor said, if you wear a shoe that's one size too small, and she's wearing a shoe that's three size too small, regardless, you're both in pain. You're both uncomfortable.
This is
To
true.
start to say, well, she has it worse, her shoes are tighter than my shoes, is to disqualify your pain. It's to minimize your pain, but can't you both have your pain?
Indeed. Indeed.
You are entitled, and I want to
You're
get this
entitled.
message. You are entitled to your pain. You're entitled, and to say like, well, she had the baby, you know what? But like she was the one probed, and she's giving birth, and they had to cut her open, or they had to do this to her,
Hmm.
and I'm just watching. So what am I scared of, or what's wrong with me? Is to disqualify your pain. This is not to say that she doesn't have pain.
There you go.
It's to
These are
say that you have
two.
pain too.
Men have also have a role in the entire pregnancy period, and
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about, just intercourse.
Right.
Men, the ones who stick around, because let's be real, have an inherent responsibility, and they do have an inherent feeling, an investment, both emotional or otherwise, into this entire process. And when it comes to how you feel, let's step away from pregnancy. Let's just talk about how men are about achievement. Men are about expectation. Men are about, okay, I need to make sure this is done well. Because men, that's why we like to keep score. That's why we like to compare. That's why we like to measure. Because men are all about achievement. I need to know where I rank. I need to know how I measure up because I need to know I'm doing well. At the basis, it's all about a very inherent, basic caveman concern of, is did I do my job? Did I do what I was supposed to do? How are you responding to this thing that I did? All right. So when men have to deal with something as unfamiliar as their emotions, what does my emotions have to do with my identity as a man? Everything, especially when you have never taken the time to realize what's going on.
Mhm.
Are you really doing well? Are you really fine? Is everything you're trying to achieve, does it really matter? You can't do it all, in regards to what your wife expects from you, what your job expects from you, what your kids expects from you. That's where the vicious cycle starts because we're always trying to fix everything. We're always trying to take care of everything until we realize that we're not fixing what's most important, which is in here and in here. It's not just philosophical.
Right.
Emotions are very real.
Yeah.
Emotions will eat you up. And with this energy, toxic or otherwise, that's built in there, sometimes we have unfortunately dire consequences, which is why you've heard in the pandemic, you've heard about spousal abuse, you've heard about child abuse, you've heard about a very high level of suicide.
Mhm.
And the thing is, men don't talk. And I know for a fact, I know this for a fact, Robert, that a lot of men are suffering in silence. And when they take their own life is because they feel unheard, they feel misunderstood, or they feel that, you know what? I am too ashamed, I am too scared to admit that I don't know or that I need help. I know this for a fact because I've been there. I've been there. And I know this conversation, these conversations, this platform needs to happen. It needs to keep going because it is very uncomfortable, because men will let their ego choke them just for the sake of the fact that they don't want to look within. They don't want to look at the man in the mirror and willing to admit that there's work to be done. And
So,
it's, yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, so Olivier, it really comes down to right now, which I really would love you to share with the viewers, is as somebody who has struggled with depression and your mental health, and you felt that, you relate
Hmm.
because it's happened to you. How did you start the healing process?
Oh, um, it has to. It needs. I don't want to, take too long, but we need to go with bullet points. The first thing, the most courageous thing you need to do, obviously, when I was in that period of like, what did I do wrong? Why did I lose my job? Okay, so I understood that I need to, prioritize either my career or my marriage. I chose my marriage, but in choosing my marriage, now I can't make money. How am I going to provide for this baby? And like, what is my wife thinking? What are her parents thinking? I come from a society where the men is supposed to provide and be the pillar. What am I doing? First of all, I need to shut up the toxic dialogue.
Mhm,
I needed to accept that, you know what? I did what I could.
mhm,
I did the best I could. And now I made a choice
mhm,
and I need to abide by that choice. There are plenty of doors. It's like the Matrix, that long hallway. You pick a door, you walk through that door, other doors closes, and you need to accept that fact. But what did I do? Step one, accept that there is something to be fixed. Accept that you are okay. You are enough. Not It's not because you see that there's a little work to be done means that you're inefficient, that you're wrong, that you're there's something wrong with you, right? You are enough. So you need to have that dialogue of acceptance with yourself. Be willing to look within and say like you are enough, and let's build from that. Second, have the conversation with the person close to you. If you're in a committed relationship, you need to bear it all and let, the same way I did with my wife, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling. These are because there was things that I was upset with myself. There are things I was upset with my wife. There was things that that I tolerated. Let's just call them as such, that I was no longer willing to tolerate, and that was vice versa. There was things that I was doing that I was not aware that was burdening her, and I had to apologize for that. So I took ownership. That's the word I was looking for. Taking ownership of your feelings,
mhm,
ugly or not, but you need to have that respectful conversation with the person close to you so you can build together.
mhm,
But also, and this is very important, nothing, inherently nothing, and I'll repeat it, nothing good can come from you sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. It is a work in progress. It's going to take some time. Healing is a process. I had to make calls to counselors. I had to call friends, because sometimes you have to understand that your significant other is not the best person for you to talk to. As a man, you need your boys, you need your friends, there is a language of men. People don't believe this. I'm sure of this. People need to understand. Men need men to talk about man things.
mhm,
It takes a man to understand a man. And that's why you need a very core group of men around you, what I call your foundation, you know, whether it's married men, just like you, unmarried men, just like you, divorced men, financially well off men, business owning men, healthy men, people who are helping you build and level up, who do not judge you, who are not trying to compare, but who are here and who want to see the best for you. It takes a village. It really does. Because sometimes it's not the person closest to you. Sometimes you need some men around you, sorry for the expression, to call out your bullshit
mhm.
and help you guide you in the best direction. So these are the little pillars, the little steps that I had to take over the long run, because it was a long haul. It was a long process to come out the other end, but it is possible.
That's great to hear that's possible. And you know what? I think it's really important for people to recognize what you said is that men do have their own language the way women have their own language. And it's not that, you know, a woman can't understand a man or a man can't understand a woman, but a man hasn't, like, a man has been through things that only a man would understand the same way a woman have been through that only a woman could understand. There's
Exactly.
only so much a man can understand about a woman's menstrual cycle or pregnancy or childbearing
Exactly.
because he hasn't gone through that, which is fair, which is, or like a woman,
It's totally okay.
it's okay. Like a woman, can understand things that a man has gone through because she just doesn't have that biological, you know, thing that with her. So it's not about like, well, a woman, I have to have a circle of men because women just don't get it. It's not about that. It's about building a foundation of men who could help you understand, speak your language, and understand you. I think it's a really good point that we don't realize how we need to have people to communicate within our own gender,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's
You need to
that's
create
good.
balance in all things.
Balance
Balance in
and
all
all.
things. You need to have female friends. You need to have male friends, and that's where balance in all things. It's no better nor worse. It's just a different set of language, a different set of tools that we can come, that we can assemble to help us build towards that next level. And it takes some time, but you need to be willing to admit that there's work to be done. And again, back to the ego. Some men, unfortunately, are not willing to ask for help, and unfortunately so.
Well, I hope that this gives people a platform to say it's okay to ask for help and there is no shame in needing help. I
Take
want to
away the
thank
shame.
you, I want to thank you so much, Olivier, for taking your time to share this
Thank you for
very
having me.
important topic. How do people find you?
I'm not that hard to find. Basically, the guys can check in on the podcast. The official website is Awaken the Awesome, all one word, awakentheawesome.ca. On the social media, I'm mostly active on Instagram. So that would be ATA for Awaken the Awesome, ATA podcast, all one word. So that's basically the handle. That's the platform I'm most active on. There's also the personal page, the personal profile, which is I am Olivier D, but mostly ATA podcast. That's the best thing. And guys, check in any email, any DMs. I'm very heavy on the DMs, so you guys want to check in with me. Awakentheawesome.ca, Awaken the Awesome podcast, basic thing. If you want, just subscribe to the podcast. I'm also available. I appreciate those as well. But no, I'm not doing shameless plugging. It's not about me. It's about the men today. But thank you for having me, Robert. So
And,
it was
and
really fun conversation.
thank you. And I call you now a wise mentor to the wise community who has helped people
Oh,
who are out there. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I am on a mission. It's why I bring people like Olivier to share their story and share their tips and strategies on how to overcome some of these self limiting beliefs and anxiety and depression. I am on a mission to help people live their best life. So I'm going to ask you, encourage you all to continue on your journey of evolving, growing, and learning. Wishing you all a really wonderful, wise day. Be well and stay safe. Thank you so much, Olivier. Thank you
it's
so
a
much.
pleasure. Stay safe.